I mean, who hasn't dialed the number thinking to yourself, are they going to pick up? Are they going to be available? All I need is someone to talk to. Hi, my name is Neil Matthews. That's where low-key listening comes in. They're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with a real-life person. Go to your phone's app store right now, whether it be Google Play or Apple App Store. You can download the app for free, set up a free account, and somebody will be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's right, a real-life person. Listen, I know not all of us love to talk like I do. That's why they have this amazing feature where you can send voice notes or even text the person. Here's the best part. It's completely anonymous. The person you're talking to and you both get to stay anonymous. It's called low-key listening. Check it out right now, again, at your phone's app store. Again, whether you're feeling overwhelmed or not, maybe you have a victory to share. Check out low-key listening right now, again, at your phone's app store. Set up a free account. Low-key listening. Talk, be heard, feel better. Available now. Low-key listening.
They say opportunity knocks, but what if it's not opportunity? What if it's something or someone else? A familiar voice from the past, a chance you've been waiting for, a mistake you thought you left behind, or maybe something far bigger than you imagined. Some doors were open without hesitation, others will cautiously peek through, and some we wish had never answered. This season on Other People's Shoes, host Neil Matthews is asking one question. Who's there? Will you answer? Will you hesitate? Step inside season 22 of Other People's Shoes, where every knock holds a story, and every door leads to a choice. Now here's your host, Neil Matthews.
I gotta say, welcome in Other People's Shoes. Boy, that's scary. Who's there? Who's knocking at the door? Oh, it's creepy. I sent that little sample to a friend of mine before we started this season. And he wrote back, I never thought he would ever actually say to me, he said, holy ... That was amazing. Who came up with that idea? And I sheepishly raised my hand to him. By the way, that's not AI. That's a good friend of mine named Stu. And he is fantastic. And I love his accent. And I felt like the show needed that. So thank you, Stu, for that. And welcome in. Who's there? We're asking that question this season. Who is at that door, maybe of your life or of your house? You know, it's also an exciting day for me today. As some of you know who've stuck around these last 7 years now, we've been on this quest to get someone from every state in the United States. As we started this season, we were 3 states away, which I thought was exciting. 3 is good, but 2 is even better. And so today we welcome in my new friend, Lauren, all the way from Delaware. Now, when I think of Delaware, I do think of one guy that used to be in the White House, so we hopefully won't talk about him today per se. Help me welcome in my new friend, Lauren. Lauren, how are you today?
Good. How are you? Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to chat with you.
Well, I'm excited that you're here. As again, the Delaware connection makes it exciting, but I think your story is greater. What is exciting about Delaware? Again, never made it out there. So if I was going to come to Delaware, what's the number one thing I have to do while I'm in Delaware?
That's funny that you asked that. So I was born and raised here. You're going to stay for a little bit. I feel like somebody that has lived and born and raised in Delaware, it's like Delaware is so boring. I think all of us can probably say that about our states. Maybe not like California or like Florida or whatever. If you are coming here, I would say our beaches are really nice. Our boardwalks, our state parks are also really nice. I don't know if you like hiking, in Wilmington on the riverfront, there's really good restaurants there, or by Christiana. We have some good places to eat too.
You also have the Delaware Blue Hens.
Oh yeah.
The University of Delaware.
Yeah.
Isn't that the Blue Hens? A guy named Joe Flacco to Delaware. He's famous.
Sports and stuff. Yeah. The football, the Blue Rocks too, for people that like baseball.
I mildly might be into sports. Mildly.
By your background, I guess I should have added if it was you coming. Yeah, so we have.
Wow. Yeah. Read the room. Gosh, Lauren. Wow. Read the room. Just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're laughing. I'm teasing. Who's there? This idea of somebody at your door. Now, for years now, since they kind of became popular, we've had a Ring camera. We have a rental house now. And that house, before it was a rental, was our house. We had a Ring camera on the doorbell where we are now in our property. Now we have cameras at 3 or 4 different locations. What sparked this was a little bit of a past guest, former Jehovah's Witness, 5th generation Jehovah's Witness even. And she talked about how they had to knock on doors as part of their service. I just kept thinking back to her and I was like, who's there? Kept hearing this knocking sound, like someone knocking at the door. Who would be there at your door of your life?
Of my life. I do want to say this like backstory. When I was filling out these questions and I was like, oh, he has me thinking of in my community group call. And my mentor had asked, what would you do if somebody knocked at your door? And I was like, this is a weird question. I would literally be like, why are you knocking? Like, why are you at my door? What do you want? Would I answer the door? Probably not. Same thing with like somebody calling me. I'm like, what are you calling me for? When you had asked the same question, I'm like, I can't answer the question like that. I know he probably means something different. I feel like when the universe sends me an opportunity, it's pretty much the same thing. I'm like, what do you want? Like, what is it? If I'm going to answer that question, it's probably going to be around the same kind of like, what do you want? What is it? Show me. Or is a new opportunity? Because I feel like all of us really have all of these opportunities every single day, even if it's not a lot of money, or if people are kind of talking about like more clients or whatever it is for them. I feel like we always miss that knock. So I feel like for me to answer the question very short and sweet is maybe it's the universe sending me something that I've been asking for. So like, am I going to answer it?
I saw this on social media somewhere. Back in the day, we get these fancy ringtones and we would pay for these ringtones and they were these cutesy songs or these pop songs or these popular songs.
Yeah.
And nowadays, if my phone rings, it's like almost an emergency. And I don't even think it rings anymore. It just vibrates. It like zzz, 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 and then it rings to my watch and I'm like, okay, who's calling? Do I want it? It's my mom. I'll get back to her. It's just one of those things. It seems like we don't do the things we used to do anymore. And again, to your point, if somebody just showed up at my house randomly, first they'd have to get through the gate and there's a code. You got to know the code to get to the house. And even in that, I don't want somebody just showing up randomly. It also got me thinking, what if it's not a person? To your point, what if it's an opportunity? What if it's a job opportunity? Maybe it's an adventure opportunity, timeshare opportunity in Florida or Vegas. Who knows? I don't know. This idea of this opportunity. Now, you talk about the universe. I don't know what that means to me, at least. So what does that mean to you when you talk about the universe showing up? To you personally, not to, again, others or like Delaware people. When Lauren says the universe, what does that mean?
Well, the universe, spirit, God, who source, energy, whatever you believe in, that's kind of like what I mean by that. So like people say God. I mean, to me, source, energy, God, they're all the same. Universe, it's all the same. Higher power, that's the same thing. Universe is a higher power. So yeah, that's what I mean by that.
Is it a person figure like me and you?
No, it's more of like higher power. So God is not a person. I mean, I know I'm not going to get on this tangent. Religion is man-made. So yes, they make it person, whoever it is. It could be whatever religion it is. They make it like an actual person, God, Jesus, whatever. It's higher power is just something greater than yourself, pretty much. People say to me, well, if I don't believe in this, can I still work with you? Sure. As long as you believe in something higher than yourself. And if you don't, you have to get there. You have to have those experiences to get there. So yeah, that you can believe in whatever you want to believe in, as long as you believe in something higher than yourself.
Where does that belief come from for you?
I born and raised a very toxic Catholic household. My belief was like God, Jesus, whatever, all that. And then I started to go through different spiritual awakenings and realized, oh, that's just to keep you stuck. For fear, oh, if you sin, you're going to die. You can't go to heaven. You can't. All this fear-based shit. I remember now going through a lot of my own trauma and healing. I remember my mom was pregnant with me. I remember being 1 and 2 years old. So I was very awakened when I was younger. And then that was pushed down by just experiences I had to go through. So I feel like I was born with my spiritual gifts, my psychic abilities, I should say. They're the same thing my whole life. So I've always seen things, heard things, knew things that the rest of the society didn't. So it was very hard for me. And it is the reason why I named my own podcast, The Enlightened Misfits, because I've never felt like I could fit in. But since going through this journey, I realized I wasn't here to fit in. I was here for a bigger purpose and mission. Once you kind of know that bigger mission and purpose, you kind of can see past the illusion that society has you in. You have to do this. You have to work for 9 to 5. You have to literally work until you're dead. And it's just like, that's not how we're supposed to experience this human experience. None of us came here to do that. We all have different missions and different purposes. Some people are supposed to work in corporate, but a lot of people that I meet and that I come in contact with have a bigger purpose and they just don't know how to get there. So I'm kind of like the person that guides them.
So you're like a tour guide.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I don't want to like diminish your work or your efforts. I
call myself a guide. So, I mean, I walk next to you, like, through my experiences. And I'm not saying I've experienced a lot, but I haven't experienced everything. So I just help with the best knowledge and wisdom that I have to help with.
It's interesting you mentioned the Catholic Church. I've heard so many friends, people through the show even, who have come out of that faith organization. They all kind of have a similar story. Like they're like, man, it was crammed down. It was very ritualistic. It was like, if you don't do this, if you don't do that. Some have even called it a cult, which to me 100%. Scares me. Cults scare me. And I would never fit in at a cult. Apparently color outside the lines too much. And they're like, no, Neil, you have to go. You have to conform or go. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. I'm going to go then because I don't want to conform. That's the hard part for me is religion is rules. You have to's and you shoulds and all the things. People ask me, they're like, well, wait a second, Neil, you say you're a Christian. And I was like, yeah, but even that word I think invokes something else when you say it nowadays. When you say Christian, it brings about some things. When you hear the word Christian, what does that mean to you?
Well, there has been such negative connotation around it. There's these people that truly believe that Jesus has saved them, which that is okay because they have that belief. That's what they believe. Because of my intuitive abilities, I can channel spirits from the other side and I can channel Jesus. I can talk to him per se. His mission here, I know, was to show us, he was a healer, to show other people they can heal themselves. They don't need to put him on a pedestal, conform to him, and like the word discipline and the word, all the stuff that they use, obedience to like one person. I'm like, that triggers me, not as much as it used to. It's because I'm like, that's not what he wanted. And there's so many people that can say that. There are some people that say, I love Jesus and you have to do exactly what he did. And I'm like, why? That's not the reason why he was here. He had one purpose. It's all out of fear base. And like, I want to be like somebody else. And it's just like, but why can't you just be like you? There is two sides to that, like everything. There's light and dark. There's always is that person trying to put them in a fear-based place, or when people call themselves Christian, I then listen to what they say after, because then I'm going to know what kind of Christian are you, which is not my place to judge. So it doesn't really matter to me, but I do know that when people say that, they use it as, again, Jesus would be their higher power. So, okay. People need that to get through life. Life's hard. What comes after they say that? Then I'm going to know, oh, okay, so I can see their beliefs, or I can just listen to what they're saying. Then I know what they believe. And I don't say anything. I don't try to persuade them to believe this or that. It's just great. Perfect. That's great for you. Love it. That's it. Do know that nowadays when you say that, people look at you like, oh, you're one of those. It's like, what do you mean? Can you explain what that looks like for you? I think it's okay to say that you're Christian and your higher power is Jesus, or whatever, however you say it, or, however that is for you. As long as you're not pushing that belief on other people, I feel like you're doing your path.
People ask all the time, did I answer that? I'm like, I have no idea. Do you feel like you answered it? I mean, that's all that matters to me.
I'm very open-minded. And I just let people believe what they want to believe, because I'm not here to tell you that it's wrong, because it's not. It's just perspective. I say this to my husband all the time. We could be looking at a figure 8 and he's looking at it from the side of the 8, or maybe he's looking at it from the side of a different side. My perspective is going to be completely different than his. He's going to have a more logical perspective. My perspective is going to be more like esoteric and metaphysical. I'm not looking at it from like an ego standpoint. I'm looking at it from like an overall picture of like why it makes sense. So our perspectives are always going to be different. That's okay. Because I always say to him, well, we can just agree to disagree, because I don't need you to tell me that I'm right or wrong or whatever. Totally understand.
I don't know where our phrase came from. I put it on a bracelet. It was that important to me. I wear 2 bracelets on my wrist, 4 technically. Left wrist, one on my right wrist. It says other people's shoes, and then it says a different perspective on life. Because my whole idea is, when I started my show 7 years ago, my brother-in-law was very excited about it with me. My excitement's like at a 20. Everyone else's is like at a maybe 10, 12. I'm very excited. I get excited about it. But one thing he told me is, he said, Neil, you grew up in the church. You grew up a church kid. I'm like, yep, I did. And he goes, you can't just go out and get Christians to come on your show. Why not? I like them. They like me. I like them. It's going to be a happy little family like Barney. No purple dinosaurs were harmed in the taping of the show.
Right.
Which is fine. You can do that. What's the basis and what's the point of what you're doing? Don't you want to get into someone else's shoes that you don't understand?
Yeah.
Don't you want a different perspective? And I was like, well, yeah. And he goes, you know that perspective. You probably know it better than most. And I said, well, it's kind of you. Thank you. He said, I'm serious. He said, they think like you. They believe like you. He said, so why wouldn't you go out and get somebody that bleeds and believes completely different than you do? And I was like, why don't I do that? Why don't I do like? It was like, ta-da! It was such an epiphany moment. I don't understand the psychic world. I mean, I loved a show called The Mentalist. I don't know if you ever watched it, but it was a crime drama show.
Yeah.
Patrick Shane is one of my favorite characters of all time. He makes fun of psychics. He's like, there's really isn't. It's just intuitive. It's just reading the room. And I'm like, okay. That to me is
what it is.
That to me is always like, I want my brain to work like that. I want to look at a room and be able to analyze it like the show Psych show that was on for a while.
Yeah.
I'm curious what you think about this. This guy named D.L. Moody, he's kind of a famous in the Christian spaces. A lot of people know that name if you're, again, subscribing to those channels. Accredited as this quote. He said, of 100 men, we'll make it a woman in this moment because you're a girl, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just saying. Got that one right? Yes. All right.
I'm like, well, you never know nowadays, right? So you have to
I just want to make sure, I don't want to offend.
I get it.
Of 100 women, 1 will read the Bible, 99 will read the Christian. What do you make of that?
Well, considering I was that one woman that probably, I read the Bible a lot. I had to memorize it. I think, so I'm not trying to analyze everything.
You can do as you
Bible.
please. How about that? Do as you please.
I have to say, I'm thinking back to went to Catholic school. So it's like we had to do that. So it's like for her, it's like that one person reading the Bible. It's like she felt like she had to. And the other people were like, I'm not going to do that. I want my own perspective. And I'm saying when I go back to things in the Bible and all that stuff, a lot of it is legit things that happened and documented. But the thing that I don't like is a lot of it was switched. Sure, there's a lot of things that happened in the Bible. Those 99 other men are probably the ones that wanted to experience it differently. That's where it came from a different perspective. So I think everybody probably could write their own version of the Bible and everybody would have totally different perspectives because that's all that the Bible is perspectives. Mixed with a lot of science, I have to say. It is a lot of science and things that happened. A lot of it is just perspectives.
You mentioned knowing kind of at a young age that you had these gifts, these abilities even.
Yeah.
I don't want to diminish them or disrespect them. From what you're describing, it reminds me of a superhero, maybe like a mutant from X-Men. That's where my brain goes.
Yeah.
Like these giftings that we read about or see about in these Marvel movies. And we're like, man, that's cool. I wish I had the power to do blah, blah, blah. To me, when you talk about the fact that I misheard this, so feel free to correct me. It sounded like you said you channeled Jesus and you kind of talked to him and that we got his mission wrong. Did I hear that right?
Yeah. So I don't want to say you got his mission wrong. That's not.
Whoa, what a second. Why is it you guy? Like I just was asking.
No, I'm like us. I should say us.
Oh, thank you. All right. Just checking. All right.
Because I think it's the community of Christians, Catholics, everybody. I feel like all of us, like collectively, I should say. Us meaning
there it is. Okay. All right. Just checking. All right.
Not just you people. I'm just talking like us, I should say.
What do you mean you people?
Because I was there too. It was during a session, like I've recorded this session too. It's somewhere in my Zoom. I was channeling. So one of my clients needed heart healing. And Jesus usually comes in when I need heart healing for clients. So it was just, it's a spirit, it's an energy. I always disclaimer when people are like, well, I can do that. You can do that. You just have to have a really good knowledge of, you can see stuff. Sometimes I see images, sometimes I hear things, sometimes I just feel the energy. I asked who came through and it was like very manly voice. That's like a very playful, high pitched voice that I hear. And that's usually Jesus. He doesn't look like everybody else pictures him. What I should say, society puts out for what he looks like. To be honest, I feel like the people that were in that time with him are just doing it based off of what they remember or whatever. I don't know. Maybe somebody just picked, he needs to have brown hair and he needs to be completely white. Who knows what he really looked like? I see him as a really big green light and then I can hear. when I say I channeled him, no, I don't have superpowers because a lot of people can do this. It's just they practice with their intuitive abilities and then they gain the confidence to understand, okay, I can do this. But if you have doubt or fear or anything is like, you can't do that or this isn't real, that's not going to happen. Same thing with people that are like psychics aren't real. Well, of course, because you believe they're not real. But how about if you believe they were real? Then they would be real to you. I don't really go on all these social media platforms and like all these podcasts and say I'm a psychic because the word triggers a lot of people. So I usually say I'm intuitive and people accept that because that's what it is. It's literally the same thing. I'm very intuitive. That's it. If I say I'm psychic, people are like, oh, you're weird. You're crazy. You're a psycho. I preface that saying that I'm just really intuitive. Going back to my channel session with Jesus, there's a couple times that this happened. And I had asked him a question for myself. What was your mission here? There was a long pause. He was laughing. And then I was like, what the hell is happening? And then he said, you got it wrong. I'm here to show humans, us, like, because I'm human, all of us, what they can do for themselves, not what they can do for him. And wherever that was misconstrued when it was in the Bible or wherever somebody changed it and then started preaching about it or teaching about it, that's where it got wrong. So it's not our collective fault. It's the people that teach it, because they put their own perspective on it based on their story. And I've started to listen to different churches like online and stuff like that because I was like, wonder if I can have a different perspective. So I was listening and then I was like, wait a second, why does he keep making it his story? Wherever you go to church or like whoever you listen to online, they always put their spin on their relationship to God or Jesus. And that's kind of like where it went wrong. So that's basically what he was saying.
And again, I wasn't trying to say you were a mutant.
No.
In case your family hears this, I don't want your family to be like, wow, what a jerk in Oregon. Just calls this gal a freak, super freak.
No.
She's not a sideshow, folks. She's not a sideshow.
My family, some of them think I'm crazy still. They've watched me for so long that they're just like, well, but what she says makes sense. It's actually interesting. I've said different world events that would happen years ago. Stuff about the whole president, history repeating itself. And my brother was like, you're crazy, blah, blah, blah. And then he calls and texts me. He's like, well, I guess you were right. It would happen. I was like, history always repeats itself. It's just in a different way. So no, I'm not crazy. I just know how to look at patterns. That's it.
Well, that's the thing they say. If you can look at patterns, you can do a lot of things. If you can read the patterns in the room or see the things in the room. And
yeah, that's pretty much all I'm doing is like looking at patterns. I'm reading energy. I mean, all of us can do it. It's just to the ability of how you can do it.
What would the 12-year-old girl make of the young lady that sits before me now?
She would be really proud because I know my 12-year-old self had a lot to say and just wanted to be seen and heard. And I feel like now that I have my own podcast, I have my own community, a network that actually listens to me, maybe a few of them, definitely proud. I would say proud.
It's so hard. I think so many times in life, it seems like our parents don't really see us. A lot of times our parents were hurt by their parents, by our grandparents. Yeah. And it's this cycle of hurt. They got hurt, and they just continue to pass the hurt down. It's like the collection plate at church, pass it down the road.
Right. Yeah.
And it's not a blessing. It's a curse, or it's hard.
Yeah.
Some people I've talked to have been abused by their parents. They've been neglected by their parents. They've been abandoned by their parents. Their parents have been drug users and hurt them while they were using drugs. They were sexually abused by an uncle or another family member.
Yeah.
It's so sad. I wonder sometimes about people. Like, where did they get to the point where nobody saw them, nobody heard them, nobody hugged them?
Yeah.
How did you kind of push all that noise away and really focus in on your healing journey? Because it sounds like you've done some work. I mean, it sounds like that. Again, might be misreading the room.
No, you're definitely not.
How did you wake up one day and say, okay, kind of enough's enough. I'm taking off the whatevers. I'm taking off all the things that have maybe kept me in bondage or kept me trapped. I mean, I interviewed a gal that was trapped in a cage for 2 years. That was crazy to me still. How does another human being do that? They're not a dog in a kennel.
Yeah. So for me, that girl that was trapped in the cage. I feel like that was me, not a physical cage, but it was like I kept myself a mental prison. It's kind of like a lot of us, that's what it is. We're in mental prisons in our head. I had a lot of abuse. My abuse started when I was like four or five throughout my whole life. My first spiritual awakening, I would say, happened when I got pregnant. I was trying to get out of my toxic marriage. Then I became pregnant. And I was like, well, this is not what I asked for. Maybe I should be more specific. Get out of my marriage. So I filed for divorce, but I didn't go through with it because I was manipulated and gaslit of like, I'll change. I will stop hitting you. I'll stop abusing you, all this stuff. Then I had my daughter, and I remember it. It's like yesterday. I was walking down the stairs. I had her, and he tried to push me and my daughter down the stairs. And I was like, no, this is not happening. I get emotional talking about it just because I feel like I work so hard to kind of emotionally go through all of that. And I was stuck in victim mentality for a very long time after that. My healing journey started in 2018. I had my daughter in 2019, the end of 2019. And then 2020, January 2020, I filed for divorce 3 or 4 weeks after I filed for divorce, got a restraining order. And then I haven't seen him ever since. It's actually a full circle moment. I recently just reconnected with him because he still sees my daughter. He came back around when she was like 2 or 3, but he's not present father. He sees her like twice a month. And my husband now is the one that pretty much helped me raise her. So I was a single mom for a little bit. My mom might listen to this, and my dad, they helped me if it wasn't for them, but I still was fully responsible for her, doing my own stuff, working full-time, multiple jobs, and caring for this child. I was like, I can't continue this generational curse. I just can't. I need to stop this pattern of this abuse and the neglect and the emotional unavailability. And I realized really quickly I had to get emotional awareness and figure out why my mom went through what she went through. That was translated into me. Why my dad went through he went through. It was translated into me and my DNA and all this stuff. My parents never physically abused me, sexually abused me. Somebody in my family did. My mom emotionally abused me. She mentally abused me. So did my dad. They didn't know better. My mom can be very manipulative sometimes. She wasn't aware of that until later in our life. And I started speaking up of this is my perspective on, she always looked at it from a very closed-minded perspective. And I'm like, listen to me. You've never listened to me. It was always about my brother, and because he had juvenile diabetes. So he was very in and out of the hospital, cared about me. So I pretty much had to take care of myself from a very young age. Physically, yes. I mean, they were there cooking and taking care of myself, giving myself baths and stuff at age 6 and 7. Like I took care of myself. So it was very hard for me to get out of that when I became older. And then I started taking on men that were broken and abusive and drug addicts. I just wanted somebody to love me the way that I could love them. I realized I needed to love myself because I was broken. I was basically just mirrors of them. Towards the end of my healing journey, I feel like it came back to me. What am I doing wrong in this situation? What common denominator that I kind of put into this situation? Because I would always blame it on my ex. He was abusive. And I see this all the time. You have to kind of go through that poor me victim mentality until you realize you chose to be in that relationship. I tell people this all the time, and this might trigger people when they hear this. None of us chose our trauma, but we are responsible for our healing. So you have to heal if you want to learn. I even published that in one of my books, and people are like, how could you publish that? And I'm like, because that is the truth. And I feel like when you're aware, self-aware, you can call yourself out. You can discipline yourself. You can say, I did this wrong. You can't do that when you're in that very vulnerable state, which you have to kind of go through it. It's a process.
Listen to this book. I love this book. It's one of my favorites. It's called The Shack. But in The Shack, there's this one line that just haunts me. I actually want to put it on a shirt. I think it's that good. Like I would wear it as a shirt. The line goes like this. If all you see is your pain, you'll never see me.
Oh, I love that.
I do too. Now,
put it on a shirt and sell it.
There you go, Lauren. I just gave you an idea. I want credit. Actually, you can't. I can't take credit because it's the guy that wrote it. For those who have never read it, go read it. It's amazing. It's a great book. It'll make you cry. It's a great book.
Yeah.
But in The Shack, there's a character in there that has his daughter tragically killed by a serial killer. That's how the book kind of starts. Wrecked it
Oh,
for you.
okay.
Wrecked it for you for those of you who haven't read it. And he goes back to the shack where they found his daughter's, found like her nightgown that she was wearing when she got taken, because she got kidnapped and then got killed.
Did they turn this into a movie?
Yes, it is a movie now, but the movie
Okay.
the movie sucks
I've
in
seen
comparison to the book.
Yes,
Okay.
because I was like, I literally think I just watched that a
Yeah,
couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like he goes back to the shack for basically a weekend and God's there, Holy Spirit's there, Jesus is there.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the book and even in the movie, God is big black woman. I look at it as like Aunt Jemima from the syrup commercials. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Anyway.
actually a very good way of looking at it. Like
I
Jesus,
love
God,
it. People
the
freak
Holy
out
Spirit.
at that.
That's different. It's like the Trinity. That's legit what it is. Jesus is different than God, and the Holy Spirit is different than God.
In that book, there's that line. Like I said, if all you can see is your pain, you'll never see me. Now, again, God is saying it to Mackenzie, the character in the book, and the me is him. The me.
Okay.
He's referring back to God. Like if all I see is my pain, I'm never going to see God. You could make that into something else. And again, it sounds like you could even as well. Is if all I'm seeing is my pain, and I'm making it about me in this moment. If all Neil is seeing is Neil's pain, he's never going to see really anyone else.
Right.
And I'm never really going to see the true me because I'm stuck in my pain.
Right.
If you were to give like 3 tips that you've discovered on how you got rid of, maybe not got rid of the pain altogether, and like it's not like poof, it's gone, maybe managed it or worked through it, what would be 3 steps you did that somebody could take today to say, okay, here's step 1 I can take on the get rid of pain journey, step 2 and step 3?
So I would say the first step would be to be the observer. So get out, and most of us, a lot of us that have dealt with a lot of trauma or just dealt with a lot of pain, period, because it doesn't really know what, wherever you are in your journey, is to either meditate or be able to get out of the situation physically in that moment. Put that story like on a shelf. Let me give you an example of like how you can do this, because you physically can do this process like right now. So whatever triggers you. So my husband a couple days ago started yelling at my daughter because she wasn't listening. I immediately got triggered from something. Not because he's yelling at my daughter. It has nothing to do with it. A story that I would tell myself. You're bad. You're wrong. You're not worthy. Whatever comes through my head. You did something wrong. You're a failure because my daughter wasn't listening, whatever. He was getting frustrated, his own issues, then projected it to my daughter. So I immediately got triggered, but I didn't say anything. She always comes to me for comfort. I just said, you need to go sit in timeout. You didn't listen. But in that moment, I wanted to yell and scream at my husband, but I didn't, because something that triggered me was a story from my past about how I was treated. So I put that on the shelf. And that moment, I just kind of ran through. Now, going to be easier for some, not for others. So what I want you to do is when you get triggered, the story that you tell yourself, I want you to put it on a shelf. You're not going to leave it there. You're going to bring it back in, but you're going to emotionally detach from it. And then you're going to scan your body where you feel it, wherever you feel it. It was my heart at the time that I felt it. Wherever you feel that story or that trigger, ask yourself why. Figure out what emotion. Is it anger? Is it resentment? Is it hurt? Because that person that you're getting ready to hurt because of a story that happened in your childhood or a past relationship or whatever doesn't deserve it. And I said this to my husband after this happened, because him yelling at my daughter, I feel like there's a different way that we could do it. And yelling at her because she didn't listen because she's 5 and that's just what kids do. They don't listen. She doesn't deserve to be yelled at from that, because in that moment that could have gave her trauma going forward of she's not worthy. She did something wrong. Her daddy hates her, whatever the hell it is. And I did apologize, because I think I might have said something after that probably hurt his feelings to make him stop yelling. Through this process, you want to take that story and figure out who is it. A 5-year-old let's just say, was it 5-year-old Lauren? Was it 6-year-old Lauren? Was it 7-year-old Lauren? And figure out why that story keeps coming up, because that is the trigger that needs to be healed. And when people say, oh, they triggered me and that's my fault, it's like, no, your triggers are just your body telling you, hey, look at me. You need to heal this. The quote, if you don't heal what's been hurt, you're going to bleed on other people. Because that's literally what's happening. If you're in an argument with your wife or kids, or you're arguing with a 5-year-old version of yourself, that 5-year-old version of yourself was triggered. Go through that process. It might take you longer, but in that moment, when you figure out what the underlying anger, mine at the time was anger, could be resentment, it could be sadness, it could be your mom yelled at you all the time or your dad yelled at you like all the time. And then you bring that story back in and then ask yourself the same thing. And then when you get to the point that it might feel lighter, you're not going to get to the point that I did. I mean, I've been doing this for a very long time. In that moment, I felt like, oh, I don't care. The situation is not now emotionally charged by the situation. So then I bring the story back in. And it's more of what this process is doing is helping your ego kind of calm down, helping your ego not control the show. When you see somebody that's constantly miserable, constantly yelling and screaming at people, constantly in negative energy, it's because their ego is so fragile that they don't know what they're doing. So it's more of like your higher self. The other part of you needs to control the show, because if your subconscious is or your ego, that's where you get these people that seem narcissistic or they're just very broken inside and they just need love and they have to give that love to themselves. Let me go through the steps again. I know I put in stories. So the first one is to be the observer. Take the story off the shelf. The second one would be going inside, evaluating the emotion that is attached to that story. And it has nothing to do with anybody else. Nothing. Your partner, your kids, that's literally why they're here. That's one of the main purposes why they're here, is to trigger us to be better and to teach us to be better. Because here they're like very pure innocent. They don't have trauma that they brought along, except for like maybe some things. They don't have 30, 40, 50 years of trauma that they're lugging around with them. So the third one would be then bring the story back in off the shelf and see how it feels. There you go.
Well, Lauren, if somebody is interested in knowing more about your work and working with you, I know not everyone is a fit. I mean, I just have that feeling about things, and you're probably a part of. Yeah. How can someone get in touch with you? And is there a social media of choice you love to hang out on that people can maybe go like, follow, subscribe, all those things?
So I'm on all social media platforms. I do like to be over on TikTok. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. If you just type in the Mermaid Light, or if you type in Lauren Oberly Perlingi, you'll find me. You can even Google the Mermaid Light and you'll all my YouTube and my TikTok and all that will pop up. Yeah, I would love to connect with you guys.
So you're like the Little Mermaid, looking to be part of their world?
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to say it.
I was going to say A Whole New World, but I was like, wait, wrong Disney movie. That's Aladdin. That's not The Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
I think it's a great title for the show, by the way, for this episode, The Little Mermaid.
People will be like, what the hell?
Yeah, they're like, what? Little Mermaid?
Yeah.
Ariel was very intuitive. She knew she wanted to be part of something that she wasn't.
Yeah.
And she knew she fit into that world, not the world that she was in.
Right. I've always felt like Ariel.
You don't have red hair, though, so you might want to work on that.
Yeah, I probably should.
All right, well, let's play our game. It's called Heel Hustle. Zach, take it away.
It's now that time in the show to play the fastest growing game in the podcast world. We call it Heel Hustle. Today, our guest will try to answer all 6 of these questions in 60 seconds or less to win a prize from our prize closet. Audience, feel free to play at home. Let's put 60 seconds on the clock. Ready, set, hustle!
The game begins in 3, 2, 1.
Who was your childhood celebrity crush?
The Hanson brothers.
Nice. What is your secret talent?
I can read people.
Person you would trade places with for a year.
Oh my God, this is a hard one. With a year, for a year?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Weirdest job you've ever had?
Weirdest job I ever had. Working at a fast food restaurant, Dairy Queen.
What is the biggest risk you've ever taken?
Leaving my successful 9-to-5 job and starting my business.
Who needs a hug from Lauren today and why?
Maybe my own inner child.
Okay.
She's been through a lot these past couple years.
Well, Lauren, thank you. Thank you so much for what you shared today. I really appreciate all that you gave and all that you said. And again, that's the joy of life, is I don't necessarily have to agree. I just have to be at least willing to listen to the perspective. And I think that to me is the key to life right now.
Yeah.
That's the key that's not found at Lowe's. That's not key found at Home Depot.
Right.
That's not the key to the city, but it kind of is, because it could open a lot of doors if we just are willing to hear someone out. We don't have to agree, but hear them out.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree.
Thank you so much again for being here today. Really appreciate all that you are.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, guys and gals, kids and campers alike, that is it. That is all. I don't know. Is anyone else singing that? Isn't it neat? The treasure trove that she has staring up and above the ocean. If I could walk, if I could run, if I could only be part of their world. I wonder about that. I wonder about the mermaid misfits of the world. Merman misfits of the world, even. The word misfit, I mean, it invokes a lot of things in me. I mean, it sparks a lot of interest, because I think for some of us still, we're like, I'm the misfit. I'm the last kid picked. I'm the one that's never invited to the party. Woe is me. But Lauren says something. Did you catch it? If not, you might want to rewind it, because I believe she made this statement. You can be part of that world. You don't need the validation. You don't need to seek it. You can find it. It's not a Google search. It's not a chat GTP. Help me be part of this world. I'm a big fan of this even. I don't want to be part of this world. This world's gross sometimes. Do want you to remember this before we go, and this is so important, is this next week, how are you going to stand out and not allow the junk and all the dirt and all the muck and all the mire get to you? How are you going to do that? I have some ideas. Lauren probably does too. But you can let me know at opspodcast.com. It's a great place to let me know. You can also let us know on the socials. We're at OPS Podcast Show under Facebook, Instagram, and X. And of course, don't forget this when we go. So important. So important. Remember, when you walk in other people's shoes, you really do get a different perspective on life. I want to thank you so much for listening. And guess what? Stay tuned until next week when we walk in other people's shoes.